Well.
What's up, Jose? How we doing?
Here we are, one more episode. But today we have a surprise. A very special guest.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
And we are going to do this episode in English. Juanpe.
Very well, let's go. Whenever you say, we'll switch languages.
Well, hello Hans, welcome. This is la Madre que te creó. So let me say a few words about you, so our listeners that will know who is with us, and we are very proud to have you. So basically, we have a guest that lives exactly where the future is being coded. Hans has been, playing with Netflix. If you use Netflix, or been in LinkedIn, or if you use cloud systems like Datadog or other things like that, Hans has been behind all of that technology. He's one of the best software engineers in the world, CTO of Nosphere, Databricks, Datadog, and also independent songwriter and music producer. So welcome, Hans.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so Hans and I, we know for like more than 30 years. You look the same, my friend.
Oh man, it's a long time. Hace mucho tiempo. It's insane how short life is, and how important it is to do the best you can.
That's the best part, right? When you reconnect after so many years, so many stories, and today we are going to share some of those stories because we are super happy to get our friends to know you a bit better. I have the pleasure to know you because of our past, but I think everybody needs to know Hans Granqvist. So I think it's going to be cool.
Sure.
Welcome, Hans.
Thank you, Juanpe.
Yeah,
I could do a short introduction if you want, if that helps.
Okay. Sure.
So I usually say that my career has the book of my career has 3 chapters, and it has an appendix that I will get to. But I started out in security, payment systems, and that's where we met, Jose, at IBM Zurich, working on next generation payment systems for the internet, electronic commerce as it was starting to boom in the mid-90s and forward, before the dot-com crash and all this. And then I did this a lot on the back-end side for big corporations, building authentications and authorization systems. And I got bored. I wanted to be in consumer space. And so that's when I shifted into video streaming that was starting to happen. Like Netflix just started streaming video and all this. And I did that for a few years. I started companies that spectacularly failed, but those were great days. And that was the second chapter. And that's how I realized I really like data infrastructure and processing of large amount of data and give more value to it down the pipeline as you process it. And that is the third chapter. I worked in places like LinkedIn, handling all of their video and image data that came in and massage it and present it. And so I did this for many, many years. And now at the tail end of my career, I have reconnected with my passion, which is music. And I'm trying to combine a sense of technology and music and what that means in the AI world that we are entering. So that is the short story of me.
Wow, fantastic.
Beautifully laid out. I think it's impressive.
Yeah. Hans, do your short introduction and your chapters. We have your appendix, your music brain, and also your handling million of queries per second. How does our brain balance that? This could be the first question that we are launching to you. How to balance your creativity, music, landing, after backend services, how balance?
So I think to some degree, I don't think they are that far apart necessarily. I think idea of orchestrating processing large amount of data is a bit similar to how you create music or how you perform arts. I think there is a dark, indecipherable secret to how you create a system that is efficient and doesn't cost a lot of money. And I think it's the same with music. I don't think there is a method where you can write the song, for instance. You cannot sit down and say, well, now I'm going to start writing a verse. It doesn't work that way. And so I think to some degree they overlap, but also to some degree they are vastly different, which means that you have to choose in life, which is what I'm doing in my appendix. Right? I think people talk about left and right brain halves. And I think a human being needs to satisfy both. And maybe you cannot satisfy both at the same time enough. You have to move back and forth a bit. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm answering what you're talking about.
Well, it's kind of poetry perspective. No?
But
Yeah, I think there's poetry on that. Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's coming back a little bit. If you look at how AI is reshaping the artistry around us, right? When we talk about training large language models on huge amounts of data and then having them generate something. And then you are a human being in there using this. Are you then creating together with the AI, or are you just orchestrating certain parts and curating? And I think it's the same with data systems. Like today, you can get Kafka off the shelf, for instance, and you can deploy it. You can get a lot of good, fast databases. Are you really doing it, or are you just orchestrating larger pieces of abstraction? I think that's where humans will will move into that space of being orchestrators.
I think that's very interesting, and it goes into the line of a few things we wanted to discuss, which is where is the human left behind all of this AI turmoil, right?
Yeah.
And you're already answering on the orchestrating point of view. But then is that an art or is that a science? Is that how much creative is that? And maybe an AI can do also orchestration at some point. How do you see that?
I think that's for me the beauty of it. It is a combination of art and science, much like if you go back and you look at the original Unix, for instance, or anything like Bill Gates' original BASIC, or Paul Allen and Bill Gates, I guess. They are like works of art. Very few people can write that sort of code today that is so super efficient. But the question is, do we need to, right? With machines as capable as they are, do we need to be as good as we used to be? So I think that's important. But yeah, it's hard. Like humans as creators or orchestrators, and then as machines get better and better, are they also then becoming orchestrators? And where is the essence of creation? It's an interesting thing to discuss.
Well, it's so philosophical, no, this discussion, because we can think about if we are thinking with AI or thinking without AI. No, sometimes you can use AI to create and make some kind of conversation with AI and generate new knowledge when you are using this. Let's say for me it's a synthetic data from internet, because amount of data is put it there, no, in LLM, and you are let's say in a kind interface, because you are speaking with the chat very kindly, no, it's like, oh, can you say me, I don't know, whatever thing, and then you can speak with, no, this machine that is telling you in some way a lot of synthetic human behaviors, biases, knowledge, a lot of things. And then in this way that we are having this amount of data in just several paragraphs, we can generate new new knowledge or new art or
Yeah.
whatever thing, no?
So I think the discussion is interesting. People talk about AI systems just being able to draw inference from what it knows, right? And I don't know if you get the podcast. It's called Hidden Brain. It's a pretty interesting podcast about interesting things around our brain and how it works. But just a few weeks ago, I think there was an episode around how large language models, they have if you draw a Venn diagram, they have a set of data that they are trained on, and they can find connections between nodes inside this set. But humans excel in finding connections between this set and other things. And someone on that show claimed that was innovation, right? And yeah, maybe it is. But I also think if you find a more efficient way of doing something based on the data you have, is that not innovation? Does that mean that that's not innovation because it comes out of a large language model? Are we then being biased and we're not looking at the thing itself, but we are being prejudiced and we're saying, oh, a machine came up with this and therefore it's not innovation. So that's one side. The other thing that I think is interesting is we talk about AI as, oh, it can only infer from what it knows, and it can pretend to be human, and it can act kind of. A lot of human beings are exactly the same. A lot of human beings, and these are maybe more pathologically wrong behavior, but they mimic you, they echo, they use you to get what they want. Are they not humans then?
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I think we need to, there's like a famous Spanish person, Pablo Picasso, right? He, at one point in his career, he took the saddle of a bike and he took the steering handle, or whatever it's called, the thing you have your hands on. And he flipped it around and he made a sculpture, it looked like a bull. And then he had it at some exhibition, and people said, but Mr. Picasso, anyone could have done this. And then he said, yes, but no one did. I did.
Yeah.
So does that mean it's not art because someone could have done it? So I think we have to always look at the result and say, do a Turing test of sorts. Does this appeal to me? If it does, do I care if it was generated by ChatGPT or not? Should I care? I think this is very interesting.
Yeah. I think that fundamentally it makes a point in which humans using AI are considering like putting less effort, obviously, and maybe the quality is less appreciated, right? If somebody writes an email and you notice that is AI generated, it's like, yeah, another of these emails. Or if somebody creates an image with AI gen, then you say, well, it's not so good, the image. But then to your point, why, at the end is maybe had the idea of putting the prompt. The prompt has the value more than the image itself. But this is not what is happening, right? I think in the world, people are judging those AI creations and having less value somehow.
Sure. And so the question I think we all have our own answer to is whether we are judging them more or less worthy based on how they were produced than the actual result itself. So I think today you can fairly easily say if someone used ChatGPT when they do a document, right? You can say, but already with images, it's becoming hard sometimes to know if it is. And videos, just forward 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, are we then sitting here saying, well, I'm not liking it because it was generated by by a machine. However, I really like that song, but I am not allowed to like it because it was generated by AI. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's this danger, right? Sorry, Juanpe, just one thing. there is this danger, right? And you've been in LinkedIn and these old social networks where maybe more and more the content is AI created, and we get a lot of people looking at AI created content, which at the end is meaningless. Maybe it's like, why? What's the point on all of that? And will not be like a moment where people leaves all these social networks and come back to something more real. What do you think?
Well, why is it a danger?
Well, not sure the danger is the word. It's more about the value is less and then becomes boring or less interesting.
Well,
So
but here, let me put something, Hans, in the top of the table is like this now, well, this new content is also curated for humans, and this is the could say the reason that is a human result also, because somebody, a person is publishing this content. It's not the machine doing that, and then the interest or the value of this post has to be from the human that he's posting, and maybe saying, hey, this is my content. Yes, it's made with AI, but it's my content, no? Has in some way a signature of the content. And it's for the reason I agree with Hans, because why is danger? Why is other kind of content different? What if we compare with the past, no? Some maybe if we in the past, well, I have some thoughts about the music generated with AI. I have some, because for me it's not the same. For me today, you can generate with AI music as a product, but not as an art. I don't know if you are, Hans, this has the same point. But for me, the AI content generated is also a human product, from my point of view.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everyone has to make their own decision. But I think from a technology point of view, it's interesting, right? So we are using Zoom, or however this is ultimately presented. I can guarantee that the majority of the code of the thing that people are watching or listening to this have been generated by machines already, right? So we are already experiencing art through machines. Like a human endeavor is machines. All of these big TikTok, Instagram, all these social sites, more and more of the underlying infrastructure is generated by machines. And so it becomes very philosophical. But I think from a technological point of view, what is needed is there has to be a way to have metadata or sign or affix some sort of side information to content that indicates how it was generated. And I think a lot of people have chosen to say, well, I'm not going to listen to AI music, for instance, if we talk about music, or I don't care about AI images. Sure. So let's give these people a way of really understanding what is generated by AI or how much AI has been used. And I think that's standards that are starting to be developed. And I believe in those, because then, individuals make their own decisions. Like around,
Yeah.
so I was just going to say,
Yeah.
my daughters, among friends, and maybe younger generation, more of them are okay with AI generated background music, algorithmically or LLM generated music. I personally, I would like to feel that someone has been sweating over their synthesizers a bit, because I don't know, it feels better for me, but that's just me.
Yeah, but to your point before, where in images, more and more it's difficult to understand the difference between AI created and not. It's going to be the same, right? That you said that even, right? To documents, to music. Are we not
Right.
condemned to just not make a difference at all?
No, I think it's important as technologists to not make decisions for others, but to provide the tooling for others to help them decide. And that is a problem. Let's forget about AI. If you look at social networks today, and you have people who are paid to have opinions. And so they're trying to sell ideas, maybe political ideas, to you as if it's their own, but they're really getting paid. And so today you don't have a way of understanding that. Now, if there was a clear way, and I don't know, but this is the beauty of technology, right? Someone will figure this out. If there was a way of saying, for instance, on my Zoom screen here, there was a verified human, right? And that could not be tampered with. It had to be authentic. Then I, or anyone who sees or hears me, could decide if they care or not. I think that's the technology. Much like the old PKI, right? And the green thing in the browser bar with HTTPS, you could say, oh, now I know that this is a verified website, etc.
Yeah. I think there is a regulation that they're trying to do that you are saying, no? That to put some tags or some metadata that is AI generated or something like this. But I'm not agreeing with that, because for me it's limiting in some way the human creativity in some way. Before, as you I know you remember, maybe 15 years ago started the how to make music with loops. Do you remember? Before loops, no, we had you have to know how to play it, and then you have to record, and then with this kind of evolution of music, we pass from musicians to MPCs, synthesizers. Where is the limit of the creativity? AI could be a new tool. For me, it's limiting. I have to say that I'm using AI is kind of limitation of my creativity, because I want to use the tools that I already have in my possession in order to give you some product or some, let's say, not product, a piece of artifact that I want to make in different ways, no? Maybe just a small piece of that is an AI, and it's not a reason for some people put a tag as AI generated and then don't listen. No,
no, I hear you. I think so, but I don't think it's not a discrete 0 or 1 here. Right? There is a continuum, and we have to figure out how to best represent that. Let's say you can normalize all use of AI on a scale from 0 to 1. Let's say that was possible. And then I put out some music, and it's using Logic Pro's session player, and it's using some loops from Splice or Loop Cloud, whatever it is. And it's using some track from Suno that I had. And then I mix it all together, and it's a beautiful new version of Calypso and Flamenco. And then it's not fully AI generated. It has some aid. I need a way to express that, should I choose to, and should the consumers choose to. Then they can look and say, oh, this is 15% AI generated, only the rhythm, or whatever it is. I think that's what's needed, because then we give people an opportunity to put the metadata they want on their own content.
But you think is it's not this like, if you before you have keyboards and all of that, there wouldn't be music that would be benefiting from it. But at the moment there's a new tool, there are new ways to express, and now there's this new tool. It's called AI. But if we put like tags or market in a way, we're sort of removing the power of expression of some people that will be compared with others that maybe don't.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, but it's. I think it's still the decision of the creator how they want to make that information public or not.
Well, yeah.
And I think it's all about its provenance, really, provenance of music. I I don't see why there should be any. Sorry, let me take that back. So one of the things that I did before was this Noosphere, right? So Noosphere is a company that we created for the idea of, we call it the post-truth era right now, right? So any content that you are consuming on the internet, you don't know if it's real or not. And even if it is real, how do you know that it's used in the right context?
Right.
Like, someone can take a snippet out of an interview and put it somewhere, and then it has completely wrong context, and it's, and we were coming up with ideas on how do you sign content cryptographically, how do you prove the absence of something, how do you combine that with the good old trust network. So I trust Jose, and therefore I trust Juanpe a little bit, even though I don't know him, right? Because you two are friends. And then you do these sort of PGP like, where you hand over keys by hand, if you remember those good old days.
Yeah.
But I think, to impose a standard is different from providing the tools. But maybe you're right in a way, like as a technologist, you have to be aware of the potential abuse of tools, right?
Well, as you know, Altitude is a tool that you don't know who is using it for, let's say, 10 years
I'm
ago.
using it when I'm singing. You didn't know that.
Well, but
No,
I remember when I was in a studio with a technical, he told me, hey, a very famous artist from Spain, that attitude in that moment is not used for modify the voice, it's just to correct the tone, and say me, no, this artist is using it. You know, what? I was thinking that he's a very beautiful singer, and now I have other opinion from them, no? And then Altitude, AI, for me, there are some tools, and you can use it, and you are not, ¿cómo se dice obligado? You are not
obligated
to say, hey, I'm using Attitude, I'm using AI, I'm using loops, I'm using splice. No, this is my piece of art, and you have to enjoy it or not.
I do hear what you're saying, and you can actually, the expression, it's turtles all the way down, right? If you keep digging and you say, well, AI, that's not a good tool, or autotune is not a good tool. What about, I was like auto-tuning of guitars, you put these things on it, just tunes you get. Is that wrong, right? A synthesizer that has a built-in arpeggio, is that wrong? Should we not be using it? They're all tools.
Yeah.
Right? And if you look at a lot of these modern synthesizers, they do arrangement and composition, and they do drum fills for you. Is that wrong? Yeah, in a sense. I'm not playing drums. I don't know how to do a drum fill. And I think it's easy to get stuck on this chat GPT aspect of, of cheating, as it is.
Yeah. Actually, it makes me think of, and I want to connect it to the software development part, because in the music industry now, with AI tools like that, you can sing better, you can play better, and people doesn't even know that you're not able to do it without. Now, when you look at the way the industry is moving with AI development, we get like smaller teams using AI to grow faster, develop faster. Sometimes you get people that don't even know what it means, an algorithm, right? And they're just prompting and vibe coding and creating something. So what do you think? Where is this going? Are we going to get like everybody's the same sort of thing? Everybody can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you're able or not, or what skills you have, or is it going to still be like musicians and developers? And do we still have people professional on their areas, or everyone is the same? What do you think?
Oh, interesting. I think there's a small portion that will decide how they like things based on how they were developed. Much like people who are into vinyl LPs, right? They like the idea of something more understandable. And so you will have people who say, I don't want any AI anywhere. I'm going to look specifically for older things. And that's fine. But I think for software development, if you look at the skills needed to create beautiful systems, they are being the lower parts are being abstracted away more and more. If you look at Claude Code or any of the Hermes agent, coding stuff, they're getting increasingly good for you as a human being to specify what you're looking. Basically like what a manager does. You manage by outcome. I want to see X, Y, Z, and I don't care how you do it as long as you do it in time. You tell that to an LLM, and he's like, you can go on think for an hour or 10 days. I don't care as long as it's great. And I think the ability to have that dialogue with AI is becoming crucial. It's like what prompt engineering really is. Like how do you specify goals? How can you divide them into sub goals? How can you make sure that architectures stay what's the word? Stay what? On all the languages I speak, I can't come up with the word. That they stay cohesive, right? Like, so I think that's the skill of a software engineer. In the old days, maybe those are good old days for some. Maybe it is like, oh, can you write code that reverses a list, right? Like those questions, or even like how many ping pong balls can you fit inside an Empire State Building or whatever. I think those questions are going away to more like, okay, you have all these unlimited AI. How do you make sure to use it efficiently and so that the results are good? Show us your approach to using Claude Code, for instance.
Yeah.
That is the skill that's needed.
Yeah. What do you think about the increased prices of tokens of AI in the Cloud Code, the Copilot? This is a trap that they are putting us, kind of anzuelo, no?
Like
as a fish,
hook.
no? Hook,
Right.
like a hook, no? First of all, you can try all the tokens for you, and then when you eat the hook, and then okay, you have to pay more.
Of course it is. That's capitalism, right? That's what all successful companies do. Like Uber, they come in and they say, "Hey, you can get a ride from Barcelona to Madrid for €6. Okay, that's cheap." And then you get used to it, and it prices out all the local taxis or whatever. And then when they are gone, oh, now it costs €200. Oops. And I think the token cost, you can already see it with Claude Code if you use Max or one of those services, or you pay per API, that there's no way they can sustain this use indefinitely. They have to start charging more. Because once they go public, Anthropic already filed, to go public at I don't know, $1 trillion or whatever.
Yeah.
Shareholders will say, well, where is my return on investment? You have to start charging more. Or you provide customers with poorer versions of your models that are cheaper to run, and then the results will be shitty. I actually think a lot of people are going to start more and more using their local LLMs on their local machines to get away from this costly lock-in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you use these a lot. A lot of these are interchangeable, like Gemini Code, all the different coding versions. They're just the provider of something. And if you can run it locally, then you can just swap in and out. I don't know. It's a bit like streaming services in the early days. They were cheap.
Yeah.
Netflix had everything, almost. right? And then all these distributors and producers, they start realizing, oh, wait, streaming service is pretty cool. I'm going to build my own.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know how it is in Europe, but now there's like it's like so many of them. And then if you want to watch a show, oh, it's only on XYZ. Now you have to subscribe to it.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, that would
So
be the same. You need to subscribe to latest model of Creó or something to be able to have great quality code instead
yeah,
of shitty cheap code or something.
I mean, but if you look, I mean, from a displacing all ideas about fairness or all this, like if you look at using swarms of agents against one of these massive LLMs from OpenAI or Anthropic to create code and test systems, it's insane what technology can do.
Yeah, it's insane.
Right. But I want to go back to one thing you said, Juanpe, about earlier, like the idea of you put technology in the hands of people and what they create. I don't know if you followed things like Lovable, which came on the market, and it was one of those early vibe coding.
Yeah.
Hey, create, and it's beautiful from a hey, let's create a quick small prototype, and they uses one database. But then if you look at the issues that vibe coding has had with security, where people don't understand the value of, or maybe your database shouldn't be exposed to the internet and all this. And I think that for me, if I had a black hat, which I have, then I would really go into like, wait, what can I do here? This seems like a gold mine. People put up all these sites everywhere, and they have no idea about basic security efforts around websites.
Yeah, but here the you can you could have the same issue 2 years ago if you don't have the good professional in your side, no? Because if you have a good architect, this architect using Lovable or other vibe coding skill could ask to the model, hey, are you thinking about that? Because I know that you have to be secure on this way, no? And maybe it's not about the tool, it's about the people that is using the tool, no? Lovable, maybe, no? I'm usually thinking about AI as expand human, no, skills, and then a lot of people that never code anything, and then they can launch a web, and then this is wonderful, obviously, but it's not the web that you need if you are launching a product. Maybe if just for a static web or something like this, it's not a big issue, no? If they have some vulnerabilities, no, it's not a big issue. But if you need if you are thinking about to put there in the market a SaaS, you need in your team a guy that knows how to use this kind of vibe coding, architect or cybersecurity guy or something like this. Is again, no, it's the tool how you're using, and maybe you have to think about what do you need in order to launch some SaaS, no, on the.
No, you're obviously you're right, but I think the problem is that sometimes it's becoming too easy to ship something for people to not realize that they need to have that skill set. And also as you know, like security is not about just being aware of it. It's about being able to prove the absence or the presence of something.
Yeah.
And if you write your own code and you know exactly what structures you have, then you can do a much better job at guaranteeing things. Versus if it's code generated by a thing and it's a blob of stuff and you don't really know even where to go. And I think that is a problem, right? You look at just APIs around LLMs themselves about the security risks. Like when people take queries and they take the response to queries and they inject their own response and then they ship that off. That's a real problem, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's how it is in the Wild West. It has to be like this for a bit before it gets good.
Well, as you know, the Internet Manifesto, no? The Internet at the past, we wanted something freedom, no? Internet, we want to be something freedom on everyone can write whatever they want. And maybe AI is helping to, I don't know, people not just
There you go.
writing on the Wikipedia, no? It's just doing whatever thing, no? On the internet, no? Internet of everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And what about in the context? Because Hans, you've been in great companies, in many big companies and innovative companies. Like, what do you think all of this is heading? Because some of the companies are thinking of becoming factories of software or factories of product, oftentimes using AI and low-skilled people, even, just trying to minimize costs. Where do you think the whole thing is going in a few years?
In terms of the profession itself, or what are we talking about?
In terms of even society, where we all depend on, especially people like us, right? We like technology and we live with technology and we depend on technology, right? How is the whole thing heading, and companies gonna be able to survive and differentiate, and products to be unique and not shitty? And where is the whole thing going, you think, with all these movements and trends?
That is a good question. I think and we are experiencing this. We're living through what they call enshittification, if you heard this, right? How everything that was good is just getting worse.
Yeah.
All like, and it's a lot of that is driven by technologies that we ourselves have invented, like data-driven analysis, right? You look at, I won't name names, but some streaming companies may have had tests where they intentionally make the experience as bad as possible to see at what point do people stop paying for it. Because then when you hit that level, you can have it slightly better and you spend the least amount of money, right? So you race to this point where it's so bad that it's really bad, but not bad for people to stop paying for it.
So you optimize for mediocrity, right?
Yes. Optimize for mediocrity. That's the subtitle of my life. But yeah, I don't know how I think the human endeavor is you have an ocean of mediocrity, right? There's always going to be people who want to, for whatever reason, if it's money, fame, or they just want things to be better, they're going to stand up from that ocean and walk out, and then they're going to try something. And so you will have this going on. And I think, the democratization of things, like do you remember the good old, when APIs came on, like everyone should have an API because then anyone can aggregate information from different services. And even Netflix had an API where you could get the ratings of every title and then you could put that into your Facebook feed, whatever. And people said, wow, if you create these APIs, there will be so much junk. But it was based on the idea that you have to have a lot of fertilization to let the biggest, brightest flowers bloom. And I think this will happen with companies. You will have a clear trajectory toward mediocrity in the big services, but there will always be these startups. There will be a new Uber-like startup to do things.
Right.
And so maybe we shouldn't worry that much.
Okay.
We should just accept the fate.
Yeah, well, we have to do it.
I like that.
Hans, how do you imagine SDLC for software? How you are imagining in a few years?
The
How?
software development cycle?
Yeah.
Um, well, I think a lot of it will, like, if you look at how you test code, for instance, all of that will be automatic, automated, based on whatever criteria you put in. And today, I think a lot of those criteria are very close to the system. Like, oh, these 0 out of 100 calls to this API are allowed to fail. And then you test and make sure. But I think those criteria may be more abstracted. And you say, any change in the code base here cannot lead to more than 0.001 loss of customers. And you can state those goals. And then you roll out, and the system itself creates A/B tests, and it knows how to do it. And I
And
think a
and
software
then
development.
who is putting this prompt on this system for you?
Um,
Business side,
that's a good question.
product side, developer side. Who is putting this prompt that these acceptance criteria?
I think it changes over time. That's a very good question. I think product will be more involved in these acceptance criteria and how they can be immediately tested or as fast as possible. And
Interesting.
I think software developers are facing that problem, right? Like, for instance, Datadog was really good at requiring product people to be very technical. And also the inverse. A technical leader needed to understand how products work,
Yeah.
that someone is buying it. And I think that will be more of a future where technology and product and finance and legal are more combined into singular teams where they work together. And they sit and whip these AI machines and understand how they work.
Right.
So first, LinkedIn, like as you can imagine, any big social network has a lot of bad content being uploaded into the site. Even LinkedIn, right? Like things that are illegal in so many ways. And so how do you then detect those? How do you make sure that that doesn't float out on the network? Today, a lot of that is, well, today, it was a few years since I was there, so I don't know how it is today. But technology is advancing, right? So more and more of that is automated. More and more of that is you can then combine your ingestion mechanism with law enforcement and look for fingerprints on data and all this. And so I think more collaboration from software developers across different types of functions is the future.
So this is very interesting, and I want to follow up on that or build on that. Is as a CTO, when you look at a company, what would you look first? Is the architecture, the code quality, team dynamics, product strategy, execution, speed, or what is the thing that you would look first as a CTO?
Wow. I think it depends on the stage of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a small company, Series A, something that's just been funded, then it's important to focus on one thing, right? And focus on finding that product market fit.
Okay.
Like, what are you developing? Stay focused on that. Make sure that developers and product and the rest of the company are aligned. So that's very important. And also like getting the right type of people in, the people who can work with ambiguity and all this. I don't know if that's sort of where you were going with this question.
Yeah.
But I think it's changing a little bit, right? As a CTO setting the technical strategy needs to be aware of, okay, in 1, 2, 5, 10 years, whatever it is, where are the AI tools going to be and what use will they be for us? And I think it depends on the domain that the company is in. So, for instance, I was talking to someone the other day, if you are in the legal business, lawyers and attorney, they deal with a lot of data coming in. Like when there is a case and there is evidence being shared, typically that's, in the physical world, that would be trucks and trucks full of documents that you need to read. And so today there are solutions where you feed it through LLMs and you get summaries, and maybe they are good enough or not. I don't know. But that's what a CTO needs to understand. What is the cost of that versus having these traditional readers of content that can summarize? So I think an awareness of where the tools are and where they will be is essential.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you are saying that, I'm thinking about how to hire people today with which kind of expertise you need for your company. Now, are you looking for technologies, frameworks, or what are you looking for? Because I'm thinking about that. Maybe I need I don't know, as a CTO, no? We can think about it. I need a young guy that is doing today vibe coding as a savage horse, or you need a older architect that understands perfectly how it works, all the technical stuff, but they are not. He hasn't the confidence with the AI because he don't has this kind of digital wave that today the young people has, no?
Well, I won't talk about ages and stuff like that, but I think it's in a mindset mostly. Like some people are traditionalists, and some people are more adventurous when it comes to new things. It doesn't mean that one necessarily is better than the other. I think, as with most teams, a good mix is great. Like, Jose, if you remember, we talked about this at IBM Zurich, or maybe I talked to someone else. I apologize. There was one person, every single person there was from a different country.
That's right. That's right.
And for me, and maybe it's not 100% true, but it felt like that. Everyone was, and it was just such a mix of people and ideas that it's beautiful to me. And I think you need that in teams. You cannot just have people who say AI is the future, for instance, because then you lack this anchoring back to tradition of software development and being careful and all this. So you need both.
Right.
And you need mentors, you need people with lots of experience, you need people who are able to just gamble. And that has always been like a challenge for any leader, right? How do you balance the immediate need for someone who can sit down and fix bugs versus, all right, how do I make sure that we don't create future problems, and how do I know what tools and etc. are available 18 months from now?
Right.
And I think leaders who are hiring leaders should look for that quality aspect of being able to synthesize different types of ideas is important.
Totally right. I wanted to ask you, I think that's great. I wanted to ask you, because before you were talking about companies you started and places you've been, you're such richer person in experience, right? I wanted to ask you, what are the three things that you think are lessons to be learned for someone that is coming with an idea or bringing a new company? What are the 3-4 things that are a must to have into account?
Wow. Put me on the spot, will you?
Yeah.
I think, validation of an idea is important. But I think going back to that, if you look at the arts, and I think coming with an idea is an art, right? How do you How do you get people excited about your idea? How do you know that that idea is the right thing? And on the bottom of all of that is being brutally vulnerable, seeking input, getting comments, taking criticism. Much like, for a while, I actually used to write movies. And I was pitching a movie once. And 10 seconds into pitching the movie, the guy said, "Nope." And then he could see that I was shocked. Like, I went all the way to Los Angeles to pitch this movie to you, and all you say after 10 seconds is no. And then he did this thing with his head. He put it on the side and he said, "Oh, do you want me to pretend to like it for 20 more seconds?" Because typically you get 30 seconds to pitch an idea of a movie, right? And I thought, and I still remember this is the most brutally honest and rude thing I've experienced. I was so torn. This was so efficient, but also so rude. But I think as a founder or an idea maker or whatever it is, you need to develop that skill. People will have opinions. Are they telling you what they really think? You need to make sure they are. And if they are saying, "Hey, your idea sucks," then you need to say, "Is that true or is it not?" And I think so that's one of the things that is crucial. I think another one is to seek input from unexpected places. Like if you have an idea of a startup and all you do is you fly into San Francisco and you go around the Mission District and you talk to AI companies, let's say if it's an AI idea, then you will be maybe stuck in that bubble of people who have just an echo chamber of ideas. So you should fly into Kansas or into, I don't know, fly to Portugal and ask them, "Hey, what do you think?" Right? So you have to seek input from a wide variety of people, I think is important.
Nice.
And I don't know what else, the traditional ones, don't give up. If it was easy, then everyone would be doing it. That is so true. Right?
Yes.
I don't know, you two, probably everyone who hears this, they have had thousands of ideas of a startup. Oh, I want to build a startup that, yeah, everyone does. Everyone has ideas, but it's doing it that's hard. And so until you start changing ideas, change your demeanor from thinking about things and actually doing them is a big difference.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I could have been someone." It's like, no, yeah, you could have, but you never tried.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, the beauty of all these Suno, you can go and say, create the song, that it gives people the opportunity to express these ideas. The democratization, that's vibe coding, right? You can just express the goal or the thought. And I think that's beautiful in a way. And then we can talk about the quality of the output, but it used to be, I don't know. So one of the things, like what people say, for instance, California or the US, it's so easy to start a business. You just incorporate and you do it. Versus many, like my home country or other countries in Europe, it's sort of just so much bureaucracy. You have to do this. And if you have an idea, you want to do something, if you can find a way of removing all that unnecessary bureaucracy and just get going, that's essential.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg said, what did he say? Perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really, isn't it?
And so,
well, we are facing the final of the chapter, isn't it, Jose? And we have classical questions when we are finishing the chapter. I will do the one of them after Jose, no, the future, ¿verdad? But my question is, what kind of advice would you give to a young person starting their career today?
Well, think about whether this is the career for you. No,
But,
sorry. I was
but
just,
it's a young guy. You have to think about it's
I
a
think,
yeah.
you know, people chase things in life, right? We all have our ideals. Oh, I want this, I want that. I think it's important to understand why we want it. It's all about this intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So, as you maybe have seen in the music business, you meet people, oh, I want to be famous. I want to be rich. And those are all sort of just external drivers that at some point will dry you up. And the thing that makes you keep going is to find something internally. Like, I want to make people feel better, for instance. And that's why I'm creating music. And I think it's the same in technology. Like, why are you in tech? What do you want? How do you want it to change your life? Versus how do you want to change others' life? Like, what is it that connects you to technology? For me, it was always this beauty of art and science. Like, the science is very clear. Oh, you move things between registers and then you have variables. But the art is how do you make sure they move them in the right way?
Yeah.
And I think everyone has their own heart. You have to make sure the heart is in it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I love what you're saying, and I think there's beauty on that, on combining art and science. I keep hearing more and more that software development is now as a factory, which is all the opposite of art.
Yeah.
Like removing what makes fun out of it. Although I understand the need to be fast and low cost and everything, but there is challenge there. I see challenge there on having people motivated to change the world where you're really doing things, as a factory, like pressing like some buttons and so, right?
I think we should see it as just another level of abstraction. Right? If you go back again, 1970, whatever, when Unix came out and people were writing code, they were literally pushing bits and all this, right? And doing. And then someone has invented assembler. Oh, now that's a language I can write in. Oh, and then came Pascal or whatever it was. And it's just increasing and increasing abstractions. Today, I don't know, like when I used to code, Java was the big thing, and it had automatic garbage collection.
Yes.
Wow, that's an abstraction. I don't have to keep track of my pointers. And oh, it's slow, it's bad. Yeah, but look now, right? You can write high performant code on a JVM. And I think it's the same if you go into software development or in that field. The boundary between art and science is just pushing up. Now the art is how do you make sure all these AI agents work as well as you think they should?
Yes.
And how do you artfully communicate to a product person and all this? So it's just changing.
Yes, absolutely.
That
I
said,
like that.
there will always be a space for people who actually write these tools. Like someone is sitting somewhere creating the infrastructure for Anthropic, right? And maybe some of it is generated by Claude. I assume it is. But, there will always be people who need, people still know how to fix details of cars, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even though a lot of that knowledge has gone away, but there is still room for that
Yes.
too. And maybe that's a well-paying future job to fix stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. There's positive glance in the way you're describing this future, so I think it's good. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Well,
there is enough of doom. I think human beings are resilient, and we will create the future path in general.
speaking about future, This is our last question, no? Is how do
Yes.
you see the world in 10 years? What will be like? Will we seeing cars flying? How do you imagine our world in 10 years from now?
Oh, in our world in 10 years. Um, wow, I don't know. It's hard. I think I, I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but I think there is a tendency in the world where we have lost track of the human side a little bit. The way we interact with LLMs today, for instance, right? We say, "Hey, ChatGPT, what's the weather like?" Or whatever. And then it says something. And we don't say thank you because why should we? It's a machine, right? But then we have this behavior that now starts to mimic real life where people interact that way, right? It becomes transactional in a way where, like, what can you do for me right now? All right, thanks. And you just leave.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to think about. I don't want to, I think the problem with 10 years is not going to be technology. I think it's humans being very distant from each other. That's just my take. Flying cars, I don't think we'll ever have because there will be some lobby that will prevent us from having that sort of joy. I think money has way too much say in what's going on in the world. The concentration of wealth is a really bad thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got political. But
Fine.
I think if we just look at AI technology, right, I think it will keep develop this sort of the indistinguishability between human generated and AI generated stuff will continue to the point where you cannot, or maybe a small fraction of a percent of people can tell the difference. And then we'll have to deal with that. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean that we have to start enforcing labeling of some type or not?
Mhm.
I think that will become a critical thing. But
Amazing.
yeah, flying cars, I don't know.
I wish that would be there, but this is amazing, Hans. I think, yeah, we need to stop, but this has been amazing discussion. A
Yes.
real great pleasure and honor to have you with us. I'm sure we'll have a follow-up conversation because there's so many topics we didn't even touch that I'm sure we can have more. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. It was great.
Thank you very much, Hans. Let's switch
Thank
to
you.
Spanish to finish
All right.
our chapter.
Well, Jose, so
Well, thanks, friends. I hope you enjoyed meeting Hans as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be here.
press the little button. See you later.
See you soon.